Now, with each passing month, we are getting closer to the Ahsoka Tano series that Dave Filoni, by the way, wrote every single episode with zero Kathleen Kennedy input, and how Jon Favreau was able to help out a couple of times here and there with him. So basically, this is going to be the first Star Wars project without Kathleen Kennedy's interference that's really going to allow itself to present itself to the fandom by this August. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into the subject. Now, one thing about everything related to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau is that we know that with Mando Season 3, they had a lot of creative differences between themselves and Kathleen Kennedy, and how Kathy Kennedy was really telling them and forcing them to do specific things for the show. This included, things like getting rid of Boba Fett, not allowing Morrison to come back on set anymore and get involved as Boba again. Stuff like, everything ranging from the pacing of the show to the cinematography was altered. A lot of things did not end up to being what Jon and Dave actually had visions for Mando Season 3, because Kathy Kennedy kept on getting in the way. But there's one thing that Dave Filoni was able to confirm that I think a lot of fans are going to be very surprised and excited about, and it has a lot to do with Kathleen Kennedy's absence and departure. Now, right now, Disney and Lucasfilm are beginning to focus on developing movies again for the fans. However, in a recent interview that Filoni gave out to the community, he went on to talk more about Kathleen Kennedy and her role in the future shows. Now, Filoni stated the following: "So, we did have our creative differences with Season 3. It's just what happens and is quite common in this industry, and it is what it is. But myself and Jon are really getting ready to do what we always wanted to do with Mando Season 4, which we are going to be on our own with this one. Kathy will no longer be with us on this one, and it's going to be all up to us to figure out where the story is going to go. I think the greatest thing about doing something on your own with no interference or creative struggles is that you really get to test your limits and test how well of a writer or director you really are. And that's one of the big challenges always. It's a challenge that I had with Ahsoka. So we are working on this and Ahsoka, which were projects all done by us with no issues in sight, which was refreshing." Now, I want to stop here quick about what Filoni's putting out there, is that he is literally making it clear that Kathleen Kennedy is not involved in Mando Season 4, confirming also nor that she was involved in Ahsoka. Now, what's great about this is that basically this is going to be the starting year of Kathleen Kennedy having little to no creative power over at Lucasfilm. And I say little to no because she is still involved with Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte. As you all know, Skeleton Crew comes out this year still, but we have yet to have gotten a release date or even a release date range, right? We don't even have a month of when the show is dropping. And a lot of that, by the way, has to do with the reshoots, the rewrites, all the delays that came out and about for Skeleton Crew. It's been a very big mess for Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Watts, just to say the least, and the whole Din Djarin situation with Pedro Pascal. We talked about that many times. You guys probably know exactly what I'm referring to. But what's really interesting about Kathleen Kennedy here is that this is literally the beginning of the transition of Star Wars being led by Jon and Dave. Filoni is saying it right here that they always had creative struggles with her, and he doesn't want to say anything bad about her as a person or anything like that. It's nothing personal, but they always had their creative struggles, and he's admitting to that. And you know what? It's not a big surprise. I mean, it doesn't shock me or faze me in the slightest, because all creators had differences with Kathleen Kennedy, and I mean just about every single one of them out there, maybe except Rian Johnson. Alright, everyone else did. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, J.J. Abrams, we had Ron Howard even having creative struggles with Kathleen Kennedy on Solo. The list goes on and on. Now, moving to the next thing here, he goes on to say, "I have nothing bad to say about Kathy as a person, but when it is involving her and her creative inputs into things we just did not agree on certain directions, and at the time, I really couldn't do much. I wanted Boba Fett back in 3, she did not. We wanted Ahsoka to return, and she felt that was a poor decision and insisted we just do things safely with 3. I didn't agree with that, so it feels nice to unleash our potential with writing this new season that we are working on right now, and with what I have done with Ahsoka. I know John is eventually going to continue revising the script when we are able to begin working on it again in the near future. By the way, he's talking about Mando 4, and the reason why he says that John's going to be able to work on it again in the near future, he's referring to the writer's strike, most likely, because this is putting everything on hold right now. It's still going on to this day. It could last a month, it could last 2 months. If it lasts anything beyond that, shows are going to be delayed. That's the number one rule. If there's like a 3-month halt of writing, they're going to have to make some kind of hefty delay. So what's interesting about this too is Filoni does make it very clear that Kathleen Kennedy really always got in the way with their creative storytelling. This involved Mando Season 1 and 2, as well as the Book of Boba Fett, and stuff around those lines. It's why those projects, alright, really had their limits. Now, Mando Season 1 and 2, to me, they are great, and there's a reason why they were great, is because that was a momentary time where Kathleen Kennedy wasn't extremely involved. She was still busy with, other projects and focusing on other things there all at once. It wasn't until Mando Season 3 where Kathleen Kennedy, really came into the picture big time and changed a lot of things around and told John and Dave what to do and what not to do. But on to the next thing here. This is where things get to pick up a little bit, is that he states, and it's going to be one of the most amazing stories to tell to the audience. He's referring to Season 4. I can promise you that much without a doubt. With Kathy's absence, we feel that we have been on agreeing on many directions in a smoother process, and so that's kind of speeding up the storytelling process. But we want to take our time with this one regardless. Now again, Dave Filoni is making it very, very apparent that Mando Season 4, it's going to be vastly different than Season 3 or any other seasons that came before it. Even Jon Favreau did confirm that it's going to be treated like a reset in the sense of the storyline. Basically, everything that was leading up to Season 3 is now over, and they're doing something different now. They're going on a brand new quest, Grogu and Din Djarin. And I think that's interesting. I like that. I like how we're just getting back down to the bare bones and the basics and starting fresh. And that's what John and Dave want to do. They want to reset things with Season 4. And you know what? It's kind of funny because Dave Filoni a couple weeks ago said something like he would imagine retelling or, kind of resetting a story every 3 seasons or so. And I think that's a very cool and interesting format there. So that might be what they're doing. So overall, I would like to hear what you guys have to say about everything related to Kathleen's absence from Season 4 and Star Wars Ahsoka, and how Filoni was finally able to confirm that she is, leaving those projects or has left those projects. She's not involved in them at all. And this does connect to the fact that she will not be involved in anything surrounding beyond the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Alright? So guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below what you guys have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, let me know what you guys have to say about the entire situation, and I will catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding from night to moon.